So I've been reading a lot about James in the last few days, and I've come across a quote that he's given various people. He claims he forgot that he'd given it, but I promise you it's there. You said you were an angry child because you could see that the environment was suffering. Tell us about being an angry child.
Well, this was an interesting thing to be reminded of, because I had forgotten I'd said it. And this is the problem of giving interviews. People actually...
They write it down.
They write it down and they may remember. No, I mean, my recollection of my childhood was that it really started with a deep, very deep connection with nature. Very, very deep. And one of the first poems is about that. And I found, as I talked to environmentalists through my career and through life, that everybody who sees themselves as environmentalists, and certainly everyone in the room today who works full-time on the environment, started by falling in love with nature. And then I had the experience, and I think perhaps every one of them has had, of a moment of recognition when there was a challenge, a threat. You realized that what made you safe, what you loved, your big mother, was not herself safe. And that makes you ferociously angry as a starting place.
How old were you when you first started to think like that?
Well, it took a little while. I mean, I was still a kid, but it was probably teenage years because climate change wasn't known, not much, there wasn't nearly as much obviousness in environmental devastation because I've got a few years on me now. So it was, so things looked a lot better when I was a kid. But the day that really stuck in my mind was the first Earth Day. So the first Earth Day, there was a global mobilization. A lot of kids in my high school were out marching. I didn't go march because I thought marching isn't going to do it. I need to study. That was before I decided to become a lawyer, but I said, marching alone is not enough. I need to get something here that's hard and sharp and I can use.
And was there a particular side of nature? I mean, were you a little boy who collected leaves, snails, earthworms?
All those things. Earthworms are a little harder to keep, but I also collected spiders. I kept tarantulas. I bred black widows.
Black widows?
Black widows.
What did your mum think?
My mom loved it. God bless her. She encouraged all these things, including snakes. And I remember one time, and I had this marvelous woman who was a great teacher of mine who worked at the Museum of Natural History in New York called Alice Gray, and she kind of adopted me when I was 9 years old as somebody to play around with nature, and she was deeply knowledgeable. And she would give me these things, tarantula, snake, and she gave me once a black racer, so it was about that big. And
a rattlesnake?
It was called a black racer. So racer because it's very fast.
Right.
It's totally unpoisonous.
Okay.
But big black snake looks a bit threatening. And I put it in a little airline bag, and brought it home. And left it in the dining room. And my mother later told me that she saw the snake quite intelligently put its head up and move the zipper back and forth, and then jump out. And she ran back and forth, trying to get it behind the big china cabinet. And eventually she said, "Oh dear," very calmly, "could you catch that snake, do you think?" And I did. So she was great. I mean,
wow,
what a mother. What a mom.